Hello, we're back for social studies. We're going to continue with our discussion of ancient Greece class, okay? This one. So we're still here in ancient Greece, and we last time we talked about the city of Athens, right? And how Athens became the city of Athena, and also we learned that it was because of Athena's gift to the people of this city that this becomes Athena's city. Okay, what was the gift of Athena to the people of Athens, class? Do you remember? Yes, she gifted them an olive tree, okay, which has become very useful to them. They can use it for cooking, they can use it to light their way, they can use it to clean their body. So it has a lot of usage for them. So that's why they choose Athena to be their god, and they really, return gratitude to her by building a temple for her, right? The Parthenon, remember? They built Parthenon, and they built a statue for Athena because of that. And also we learned that Athens was a democracy, okay? So it's a country that practices democracy, which is a form of government where citizens gets involved with public affairs. Public affairs means like whatever the city has to decide for, people gets to vote, okay? They can vote. They can say their opinion, whether they agree or not agree with it, but at the end of it, people vote. So whoever has more votes, so that's what they're gonna do, okay? So, and today we are going to continue on that on the same city, okay? But this time we're going to learn about Athenian children, okay? So last time we followed a citizen in Athens, right? You remember Nissos? Nissos, the citizen in Athens. We followed his day, right? Where he attended assembly, he gets to vote, and he gets, from dawn to dusk, he has to stay in the assembly just to participate, okay, in the decision making of the city. Now, today we're going to study the Athenian children. So, Nissos has two children named Cadmus and Cassandra, okay, a boy and a girl. So he has two kids. So we are going to learn what was the life of Athenian children through following Cadmus and Cassandra, okay, class? So please listen as I read. But before that, I want you to see some vocabulary word, okay? Memorize. So memorize means studying things and retaining it in your brain, okay? Like learning it by heart. So like when you're doing a poem, right? Remember? Or when you're studying something. When you study by heart, when you know it by heart, then you don't need to look at your notes. You can just simply deliver it because you know it by heart. That's when you memorize things, retaining it longer in your brain, okay, what you study. And then section is like parts, okay? For example, if you have a square, you divide it into 4 parts. One part of it is called a section, okay? Now, property is something that you owned, okay? For example, a house, car, whatever you own, okay, that's called property. And last one is rights. Rights is kind of a legal thing that you are entitled to, okay? Right to speak, so that's your right. All right, so you're entitled to that. All right, so What do you think, if you are an Athenian child class, what do you think your life be in Athens if you are an Athenian child? If you happen to be born in Athens in ancient times, in ancient Greece, what do you think your life be? Will you be playing on tabs? Will you be writing or reading or watching TV? What do you think? Okay, so we are going to follow Cadmus and Cassandra to learn about the life of an Athenian child. Okay, what are the things that they can do? You know, when we're studying Japan, we learn that the student in Japan don't just study, right? They does a lot of they do a lot of things, like they do chores, okay, in school. Okay, they serve each other, they clean up the school, so they do a lot of things. It's totally different from us here, right? So let's see about Cadmus and Cassandra. Let's start first with Cadmus, okay, the boy. If you're a boy in Athens, what are the possible things you can do? All right, Cass, so listen. So Nessus, you remember Nessus? He was the citizen we're following in Athens, okay, who was the citizen. Nessus, okay, Nessus' son, Cadmus, okay, we're going to learn about Cadmus and Cassandra. So, Nessus' son, Cadmus, is 15 years old. He lived at home under the care of his mother and a slave until he was 7. Then he started school. Every morning Cadmus walks to school. He walks to school with one of family's slaves named Helios. Okay, so they have a slave named Helios, okay? Now Helios isn't from Athens, okay? He was from another Greek city-state, but he was captured by pirates and sold to slavery. That's why he became a slave. Now, Helios saves the money he earns so that he can buy his freedom in the future. Okay? So, remember, if you're a slave in ancient Greece class or in Athens, you don't stay slave forever. Okay? Like if you buy your freedom, if you have enough money to buy your freedom, then you can be free from being slaves. So that's what Helios was trying to work for, okay, because he wanted to be free from being a slave. Okay, so during his first year at school, Cadmus learned to read and write in a wax tablet. When Cadmus was done, the wax could be smoothed out and used again. So they don't have whiteboard before, or chalkboard, or a tablet like you have, or a computer or a phone. So they use, and even paper, so they use the wax tablet. Okay, it's made of wax. If you see a candle, that's made of wax, so it's kind of like that. So they would just smooth it out after they used it, and they can use it again. Now, after Cadmus learned to read, he began to study two famous Greek poems by a poet named Homer. Okay? You know what's a poet, class? A poet are people who wrote poems. Okay? Now, so after he learns how to read and write, then he get to study famous poems written by Homer, which is the poems Iliad and Odyssey. Okay, so these two poems are very famous that even until now, children around the world can still study this one. Okay, when you get to middle school or high school, even college, okay, especially when you study literature, then you get to meet Homer, okay, and read his great works. All right, so now the Iliad was about the Iliad the Iliad was about a great warrior named Achilles. Okay, so this poem is about Achilles, a great warrior who fought the Trojan War. Okay, remember the Trojan War? Yeah, he was one of those who fought. He was a warrior, Achilles. Now, the other one, the Odyssey, is about this man named Odysseus. Now, Odysseus, he was a Greek soldier who tried to sail home from the Trojan War. Okay, so that was Odysseus. He sailed home from Trojan War. So he survived the Trojan War and sailed home. So that's the story. So these two stories was written in a poem of these two great people. Now the Greeks believed that these poems taught students how to act properly. So that means that these poems teaches children a lesson of life, okay? How to behave, how to, act properly. Now Cadmus's teacher makes him memorize long sections of the poems. You remember when I make you memorize a poem which you deliver in class orally, remember? So that's exactly what Cadmus was doing, memorizing long sections of a poem. And Cadmus also studies music, math and music. Okay, so he knows how to add, he learns how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide just like you. And he also learned how to play flute and lyre. Okay, in ancient times, flute and lyre is really famous, class. Okay, now physical education, which is gym, is a big part of Cadmus's life. Athenians believe that it is important to train both mind and body. So Cadmus practices running, jumping, boxing, wrestling, and throwing the discus. So those are the things he does for gym. Okay? We don't do that in gym, right? In our school, we don't. We run, we jump, but we don't boxing, right? Wrestling, I mean, you do martial arts, but it's a different thing. And throwing the discus, well, in our gym we throw frisbee, so it's like a frisbee class. Discus is like a frisbee, but it's heavier than a frisbee. A frisbee is very light, right? You just throw it and it glide in the wind. Okay, but a discus is heavier than a frisbee. Now at 18, Cadmus will receive 2 years of military training. So if you're a boy, you receive military training when you become 18. And next he will stand before the city council of Athens and promises never to run from, okay, so at 18 you receive military training, which Cadmus does, and then he will stand in front of the city council of Athens and promises 3 things, class. 3 things. First, never to run during battle. Okay, you cannot run away. You have to stay there and fight for your life. Okay, the next one that he has to promise is to never disobey laws, class. Never disobey laws. Third one is never forget to worship your God, their gods. Okay, so then he will become a citizen. So those are, if you're a boy, those are the things you have to do. Go for military and then stand in front of the city council, promises those 3 things: to never run during battle, never disobey the law, and never forget to worship the gods, and then you become a citizen. At what age you become a citizen in Athens again, class? You remember? 21. So when you're 21, you become a citizen of Athens, where you can participate in voting, in making decisions for the city. Alright? Now, that's for the boys. So the boys learn a lot of things: read and write, poems, a lot of things. But how about the girls' class? If you're a girl, like Cassandra, what are the possible things a girl can do in Athens, class? Okay, let's discover, okay? Now, in ancient Athens, as in other ancient societies, not just Athens, but in ancient societies, class, women did not have the same rights as men. Okay? If the man has rights to vote, women, no. Okay, so a woman could not vote in the assembly or appear in court. She could not own property. Her father or another male relative would choose a husband for her. Okay, so that's for the girls. Now, once a woman married, she was rarely allowed to go out in the public by herself. So she cannot, if once she gets married, she cannot go outside by herself alone. Someone has to be with her. Okay, now when Athenian men wanted to relax, okay, in the evening, they went to parties with other men. So they don't go to parties with their wife or children or with another woman, but they go to parties with men. So the parties is for men only. Women stays home. Okay, class? So Athenian women had plenty of work to do, taking care. So women has a lot of things to do. That's why maybe they don't go out for parties. All right. So these are the things that women does, okay, in Athens. Taking care of the children, bossing slaves, cooking, sewing, cleaning, paying bills, spinning thread, weaving cloth, and making clothing. Those are the things women does. Now, can you imagine at that time there's no washing machine, class? There's no sewing machine, and there are no vacuum cleaners. Never. Not like now that we can just throw our dirty clothes inside a washing machine, and then after a while, then it's done, and then you dry it, and then voila. But in ancient times, they don't have washing machines. Even vacuum cleaners. Like, what do they do when they clean up, class? Huh? I think they were using their hands or their feet to clean up the house, right? So that's how hard it is. Anyway, continuing. So, by the time she was 12, Cassandra had learned the skills she would need as a wife. Okay, so basically, if you're a child in Athens and you're a girl, you just have to learn the skills to become a wife, okay? Now, she could spin thread and weave, and she and her mother made most of the clothing worn by the family. So their clothes, they do it themselves. They don't go shop, not like us. We go to the mall and then shop our clothes, and then but them, they have to sew it, they have to weave it, and so that they can make clothing. All right. Now, Cassandra's mother also taught her the arithmetic. Okay, she would need to use money. Okay, arithmetic that can help her count money, of course, because if you are buying things, you need to count your money. You need to count how much money you're giving and how much money you are getting back, right? So also, Cassandra learned to read and write a few words, but that is as much education as she would ever get. Not more than that, okay? Cassandra played with Cadmus when they were young, but she did not go off to school when she turned 7. So she never get to school. If Cadmus goes to school at 7, she didn't. Now, school was only for boys. Now she can't play sports either, although she does sometimes play games with other girls. So she cannot even do gym, right? So that's the life of a girl in Athens. So can you compare now? What's the difference between if you're a boy in Athens and if you're a girl in Athens? Are they the same or not? Okay, so I want you to think about that, and I want you to do the activity I posted. Okay, like compare like life of Athenian boy and life of Athenian girl. Okay, so That's it, and I'll see you in my next topic. Okay.